So, good morning everyone. Now we'll discuss about the LEL, lower explosive limit, and upper explosive limit, which is detailed information. Detailed information in between the range between LEL and UEL. Okay. So the LEL, lower explosive limit, which covers of the methane value of the lower explosive limit is 5.3%, 5.3% by volume in air, and upper explosive limit of the methane is 15% by volume in air. So we already know about the fire triangle. The fire triangle which occurs because of the three elements: fuel, heat, and oxygen. If these three elements are present in proper proportion or in a right mixture, if these three elements are present in proper proportion or in a right mixture, then fire can take place. If one of these elements are not present in proper proportion or not in a right mixture, then it will automatically go off. We all know about the three elements which starts fire. But in between this, once the ignition source, if you give a pilot source like a flame, if you give a flame to the petrol, okay, the fuel is like petrol. Petrol is it's a highly volatile material. So once it's came in contact of the lower explosive limit or the upper explosive limit, the fuel vapors, if you put a burning matchstick in petrol, it will explode. It will immediately explode. So that covers under the LEL, lower explosive limit. So the fuel will started burning in between LEL or UEL. Okay. So we need to understand about the LEL, lower explosive limit, and upper explosive limit, and what are the range over there. What are the in between range where the material started burning. Okay. So that range called LEL, lower explosive limit of methane. Methane is what? CH4. It's a flammable gas. So the lower explosive limit of the methane is CH4, which is 5.3% by volume in air, and upper explosive limit is 15% by volume in air. So here I draw a graph where we understand easily, okay, related to the percentage level of the air or the percentage level of methane. Okay. So here you need to understand the percentage level of air. In this area, the percentage of air is 100%. The percentage of air is 100%, and the percentage level of methane is 0%. So if suppose here, once you entered like in this zone, where the percentage level of methane is 5.3%, or in between 15%. So that comes under LEL. 5.3%, the percentage level of methane is 5.3% to 15%. So in between, this is called the flammable explosive range. The flammable explosive range between LEL to UEL. So every flammable material, every flammable gas, or every flammable liquid, okay, it comes under LEL and UEL. So once it came in contact of the heat source, once it came in contact of that range in between LEL and UEL, so the fire started burning immediately from that range only. Understood? So that calls flammable explosive range of the same material, like petrol, okay, diesel, then other gases like propane, butane, methane, ethane. There are so many flammable gases, there are so many flammable liquids, okay, which comes under LEL and UEL. So once the range comes in between LEL and UEL, so the fire started burning immediately. So that is what the air in volume. Here you need to understand about the percentage level of the air. If the percentage level of the air is 100%, there is no fire. There is no fire, because there is no chance of fire, because the level, the range of level which is LEL and UEL, which covers 5.3% to 15%. If the percentage of air is 100%, there is no chance of combustion or no chance of explosion or like the burning things. Once the percentage level reach towards over here, reach towards 5.3%, that comes under lower explosive limit. Okay, and if suppose the range in between 5.3% to 15%. So once the percentage level reach towards 15%, that calls upper explosive limit of methane. Understood? And here again you need to understand, if suppose the percentage level goes like in a backswing. So if suppose here you need to understand the percentage level of the methane is 100% and the percentage of air is 0%. Again there is no fire. Why? Because the favorable explosive range is, lower explosive limit is 5.3% and upper explosive limit is 15%. If you cross that limit, 101%, there is no fire, because the fire takes place because of UEL and LEL. Here the definition of LEL is, it is defined as the lowest. LEL, lower explosive limit, is defined as the lowest concentration of a gas or vapor in air. It is defined as the lowest concentration of a gas or vapor in air that is capable of producing a flash of fire in presence of an ignition source. So the source comes from like the direct flame or heat, or maybe some other source as well. And UEL, upper explosive limit is the maximum concentration of a gas or vapor in air that will burn in air immediately. That is defined as an upper explosive limit. So it is very easy to understand about the LEL, lower explosive limit, the range of lower explosive limit and the range of upper explosive limit of the same like the gas, like methane gas, ethane gas, propane gas, butane gas, or maybe liquid material, petrol, diesel, kerosene. There are different kinds of chemicals as well, which have LEL and UEL. Okay. Here we need to understand about the LEL, which is 5% by volume. 5% means 50,000 ppm. Okay, that is what the minimum concentration required to support for the combustion. So if the methane, the lower explosive limit of methane is 5.3%, 5% by volume, it started the minimum concentration which is required for the combustion. And UEL is like 15% by volume. It covers around 1,50,000 ppm. Percentage which goes on ppm, so it goes in the thousands. Okay, so the maximum concentration that can be burned and support for the combustion. And the flammability range of LEL and UEL, in between LEL and UEL, the flammability range is like 5% to 15%. 5% to 15% of methane in air. So the minimum concentration of methane in air is 5%. That comes under LEL, lower explosive limit, and the maximum concentration of methane in air is 15%. So in this video you will easily understand about the LEL and UEL level of like which supports for the combustion or for the fire. Understand everyone?